what they call us. You're with Julian on the Brown Note, and I do a review or roundup of the Oscars every year, and I've got very little to say because it was kind of the most popular winners in winning list in Oscars history. Last year I reviewed Everything Everywhere All at Once, gave it 9.5 out of 10 when it came out. Said it would win, or would very likely win, Best Picture, Best Actress and Best Screenplay and Best Director, or at least be the front runner, and be nominated for supporting actors. I didn't pick out that they would win both the supporting actor categories as well. But it's a very interesting ideological shift because the Marvel Universe, of which this is analogous, the Russo brothers produced it, have barely got a mention ever in the Oscars. In fact, other than Lord of the Rings, very few of the fantasy or sci-fi world has ever been recognised by the Oscars. And this one's 7 and a clean, a sweep of the big awards, which is incredible. And it's also incredible that it picked up 3 acting Oscars. There's not many films that have done that. And even including Lord of the Rings, they only got 1 nomination for Ian McKellen in the Fellowship of the Ring. So there's been virtually no Oscars for anyone involved in sci-fi or fantasy movies. The Joker has actually won 2 Oscars, Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger. But other than that, virtually nothing. I think Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy was the closest it ever came to rattling that cage, but an incredible feat. But also, it was my number 1 film of the year. Great to see Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio winning, because that category of Best Animated Feature Film, because that category has been so dominated by Pixar and Disney that it's really nice that someone that isn't. Ke Huy Quan winning for Everywhere All at Once in Best Supporting Actor was just, again, it's so popular seeing the guy from Temple of Doom, the little kid from Temple of Doom, hugging Harrison Ford decades later was just, how can you complain? Same with Jamie Lee Curtis. Whether her performance was the best, it's hard to grumble. It really is. I've always said the Oscars is all about momentum. And that film maintained its momentum all the way along, whereas a film like Tar had none, almost. Angela Bassett would have been a deserving winner for Wakanda Forever, but Jamie Lee, go for it. I haven't seen the documentary winner Navalny, and I haven't seen any of the others. All Quiet on the Western Front I'm going to do a review of in a minute, and I felt Elvis was a bit shut out of technical categories. It was the most beautiful mounted film of the year for me, but the cinematography in All Quiet is superb. Don't know about makeup and styling, but for the whale to win that is seemingly on one character was very odd. Black Panther for costume. International feature was always going to be All Quiet on the Western Front. Production design, All Quiet on the Western Front. I would be interesting on the production design on a few of the other films on this list. Elvis, Babylon was a terrible film, but the production design was certainly amazing. And Avatar, which I've still not yet seen. The score, again, All Quiet on the Western Front. It became likely that film might upset Everything Everywhere All at Once at this stage by winning so many awards. I thought the score for Everything was superb by Son Lux. I thought the score for Babylon was absolutely superb. Banshees of Inisherin got completely shut out, but that had a beautiful soundtrack. I kind of feel like The Northman really had an utterly sublime soundtrack as well, but the soundtrack for All Quiet was at least a worthy one. I haven't seen Avatar, which won Best Visual Effects. Original screenplay, it would have been a corruption in The Matrix for Everything Everywhere. One of the most imaginative uses of cinema this century not to win screenplay. I think All Quiet on the Western Front lost Best Picture when, was it Sarah Pullman won adapted screenplay for Women Talking. I think that was when it was like, well, it's not going to be your night. Great to see Top Gun pick up a sound award. It didn't really matter what award it won as long as it got one. And great to see Naatu from Triple R win for song, normally the worst category of all. Editing everything all at once, again, mixing up those multiverses the way they did, a very deserving winner. And the directors, Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan, again. Brendan Fraser in The Whale. I haven't seen The Whale. It seems to get pretty average reviews. And I have seen that he won an Oscar basically based on one scene in that film. I feel really sad for Colin Farrell. I know that Austin Butler was a favourite for Elvis, but I kind of have a problem with people doing impersonations of celebrities winning every year. So even though he was magnificent in that film, I thought Colin Farrell delivered a really consummate, rounded performance with no histrionics, no reliance on big emotion. It was all subtlety. It was beautifully comedic. So I thought he was a bit let down there. I really wanted Michelle Yeoh to win Best Actress, and she did. I said it would be a tragedy if she didn't. Was her performance better than Cate Blanchett? Well, Cate Blanchett's going to get nominated for another 6 or 7 Oscars. She's always going to get nominated, so I really wanted it to be Michelle's year. But I love the fact that she was near 60 years old and nominated in a role that qualified as both comedic and action star. I really liked the fact that it wasn't, dramatically she was great. She was great as an action star and she was great as a comedian. So I really think she was deserving. And Best Picture, obviously, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The only shutouts for me were The Northman. That was my second favourite film of the year, and Pearl. I gave both those films 9.5 out of 10. I can see why The Banshees of Inisherin didn't win much. It could have on another day. There wasn't a lot of momentum for it. But the only one I was surprised it didn't win was Colin Farrell for Best Actor. But for me, The Northman being shut out in the soundtrack, the sound, the editing and the cinematography was inexcusable. Wiped the floor with Half the Lift. And Pearl, obviously the acting in Pearl of Mia Goth was off the charts amazing. And the whole film I thought was a masterpiece. So they're the only flies in the ointment. But overall, yeah, it's not a lot to complain about.